Are you ready for the best in Sooner football recruiting news? Then it's time to get locked in with Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up.
Whether you're a recruiting doomer or sunshine pumper, text the guys on the First Liberty Bank text line at 405-651-3439. And call your shot on the Riverwind Casino jackpot line at 405-329-9000.
Do it! Just do it!
Now, with Locked In, here's Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
You know, growing up, Grayson, I dabbled in every sport, but by the time I got to high school, baseball had become my primary sport. I was a pitcher in baseball, and I always loved pitching because it felt like such a unique juxtaposition of the physical and the intellectual, because you have to execute physically, like you got to throw the ball hard and you got to throw it with precision, but also it's very heavily mental. You got to set a hitter up. You got to know how you can attack him. You got to kind of get inside his head and try and figure what he's thinking in a given situation or on a given pitch. But I tell you, man, some days walk out to the bullpen to warm up before the game. You just realize, it's not there today. Like some days you're in the bullpen and you got A-plus stuff. And you just feel like, oh, boy, they're not going to be able to touch me tonight. And then other days you're sitting in that B-minus C-plus territory.
I'm about to get freaking shelled.
And you know what? It's not even I'm about to get shelled. Like, for me, it was more so, I might not have the command today. I might need to rein it in a little bit, take some velocity off just to be able to put the ball over the plate consistency. Otherwise, I might get shelled.
So
that is kind of how I feel today.
Oh, is that
Some
right?
days I walk into the radio station, I'm like, oh, it's going to be an A-plus show today. I'm in peak form. Today I walked into the radio station. It's probably because I didn't sleep great last night. There's usually a correlation there. But I walked in and I was like, man, feels like half my brain just isn't there. Shout out Sabrina Carpenter.
What does Sabrina Carpenter what does she have to do with that?
Well, that's a lyric in one of her songs, right? Like,
oh, is that really?
Half your brain just isn't, I don't know.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so
I hear it on videos on social media.
Interesting, because I try to stay away from
We're
going to
shoot for a B-minus performance from me today. You're going to have to carry this thing.
Let me tell you this. When there are shows where I come in, especially if I'm in the hosting chair, which does not happen often. Unfortunately, I like hosting. But if I feel like I'm stuck and I've got mental block, you know what I go to? You know what my change-up is, Parker, to keep on with the baseball alliterations?
What's that?
What's something that I believe in that I know is going to piss somebody off? Where do you think my World Baseball Classic take came from?
Well, that makes sense.
That was why I brought that one up, because I'm thinking, all right, it's a dead time in Sooner sports. I know there's things that I want to talk about, but what's something that's going to galvanize everybody, either around me or against me, or polarize everybody in a non-political way? That's how I usually get around that.
We're going to get through this Friday show together, folks. 405-651-3439 is the First Liberty Bank text line. Bank like a champion and text like a champion with First Liberty Bank. The show is brought to you by Dorsey Jones GMC in El Reno. Family owned and operated. Many of their employees have been with the company for 20-plus years, and they are eager to assist you before, during, and after the buying process. They also offer fantastic service, including half-price oil changes on Saturdays. That's tomorrow, so you need that oil changed? Head out to Dorsey Jones. 405-651-3439. Again, is the First Liberty Bank text line. Soonerfish says, starting off at an F for bringing up Sabrina Carpenter in the first 2 minutes. My apologies, Soonerfish. I promise you that will be the last Sabrina Carpenter reference on the show today.
Patrick says, what's next, Hannah Montana?
I'm like, Hannah Montana is Miley Cyrus, right?
Correct.
Okay. That was, I want to say, mid-2000s.
Also true.
I'm too young to have a real, like, strong sense of the Hannah Montana lore. Excuse me. Yeah.
Because I remember Hannah Montana.
What, were you watching reruns?
I mean, I have two sisters.
Oh, okay, so you were watching reruns.
I mean, I have been inundated before, yes, but I'm younger than you, and I have a pretty decent memory of Hannah Montana in that era.
Miley Cyrus is, I mean, she's not like old these days, but
No,
she's getting up there, right?
I think so. I mean, her, Taylor Swift,
She's gotta be-
that whole generation's getting up there.
Yeah, she's got to be close to 40 by now. So anyway, we're going to see. I might just not have the stuff today, Grayson. You might have to put this show on your back for the next hour. But
Cool.
Following up on a detail that we referenced at the tail end of yesterday's show, there was an expectation yesterday that Oklahoma was going to get Palo Duro High School athlete Kyron Brown out of Amarillo, Texas, in for a visit yesterday. That visit did not materialize. He had to reschedule, had some logistical hurdles on his end. So he will get out to Oklahoma at some point in the near future. That did not happen yesterday, though. So a bit of a holding pattern there. I will say, though, we're getting to the point where, spring ball's getting rolling and Oklahoma's going to be welcoming a lot of prospects into town over the next few weeks for campus visits. Unofficials, to be clear, they'll have some 27 guys on campus. They'll have some 28 guys on campus. Now, one of the kids in the 2028 class that they are bringing in on Monday afternoon to check out practice and spend time around the staff is their lone 2028 commit, Micah Rhodes. Reported this morning on OUinsider.com. I'll take y'all behind the paywall here for a second, but Micah Rhodes is getting back to campus. That's great news, Grayson Singleton, if you're an Oklahoma football fan, because, man, Micah Rhodes' mentions the last couple of weeks between the visit to Texas and some of the tweets he's put out, asking, where's RBU, asking for a friend. Been a lot of Oklahoma fans spewing vitriol in his mentions. Just decommit already. Well, he's still committed, and he's coming back up on Monday to tap in with Dylan McCullough.
Speaking of people's mentions, what were you doing up in the comments all night last night?
In the comments?
In your replies on Twitter.
I mean, I replied to like 2 of them.
Did you really?
Yeah.
You seemed like you were going down a rabbit hole that I was like, oh, Parker's really putting a lot of energy into this one.
No, I think I replied to 2, maybe 3 randos in the
I
comments, which I don't usually do.
Okay,
but
fair enough.
I've been tweeting a lot the last few days
you
because of practice
No,
availability.
yes, you have. But like one of your replies got to me, and I was like, oh, this is something I didn't think Parker was going to keep going back and forth with somebody. Anyway.
Yeah, no, I followed up with one of them this morning, and then I just decided to shut it off. I was like, I am no longer going to go back and forth with idiots because there are a lot of them in my mentions right now.
Fair enough. And as it pertains to Micah Rhodes, this is good. This is what you needed to do, because if you had a guy committed with one running backs coach, and then he's kind of seems like he's on the fence because he left and a new one has been brought in, the one thing you have got to do expeditiously is to reestablish the relationship and do it in person too, because electronic communication can only go so far. But Micah Rhodes has seen DeMarco Murray and gotten a vibe of DeMarco in person. So you want to establish that with Dylan McCullough as quickly as possible. And I think what better way to do it than to see Dylan in his element coaching a live practice with live running backs. They've got some pads and helmets on and everything. So I think this was the smart move. It needed to be done quickly, and it's also a predictable one for me as well, because if you still got the guy committed, he hasn't backed off that pledge just yet. Get him on campus, get him in person interacting with Coach McCullough as quickly as possible.
And I know we emphasize official visits. I know we emphasize game day visits, but these spring visits can hold a lot of value for the program, because on any given day at practice, whereas in the fall on a game day, you might have 50, 60 prospects in town for a game day visit, if not more. Any given weekday during the spring or even weekend, any day you're holding practice and you're bringing recruits into town, there typically aren't going to be more than a handful. You might have a couple heavier days where you bring in a dozen or so, but for the most part, like for instance, we were out there at practice on Wednesday. I think there was one visitor. It was an offensive lineman from Salina High School, Bo Bentley's alma mater, by the name of Dylan Goodson. Don't believe he holds an offer from OU yet, but he was up checking out practice. And so those visits tend to be more exclusive. They tend to afford these kids more of an opportunity to spend intentional time around the staff and just get to observe and digest, and you're not constantly busied by a zillion different side conversations with your peers. And so you can get a lot out of those spring visits, is what many guys find. So for Micah Rhodes, I think the goal would be get him in on Monday, get him better acquainted with Dylan McCullough's coaching style, and again, start to hammer home that Oklahoma is the place for him. It's not just that DeMarco Murray was the coach for him, but Oklahoma is the place for him, because I brought this up earlier in the week after talking to him last Saturday. That feels like an area in which he's somewhat uncertain. You know, is Oklahoma truly the right place for him to thrive? The decision, the initial commitment to Oklahoma was so heavily influenced by the presence of DeMarco Murray that it almost feels like Micah Rhodes needs the opportunity to fall in love with Oklahoma, the place, as opposed to DeMarco Murray as a position coach.
No, I agree. And the people ultimately, people say this all the time, the people make the place. And the University of Oklahoma is what it is because of the people that are there. So people can say, yeah, you're committing to the institution, you're committing to the university, but it is still the people that make the place. It's the same in business. Like, it's the people that make our workplace where we work at and make, the culture and the vibe that we're at. So we use this a lot, and I feel it's a misnomer that you got to commit to the institution and to the school. Like, no, commit to a person, because ultimately that's who's going to make your experience. So again, as if they can spend as much time in human face-to-face interaction as possible, I think that puts you in the best position to be able to reaffirm why you were the best option in the first place for a guy like Micah Rhodes.
A 580 listener says, I will never understand grown adults talking mess in a teenage/high school recruit's social media comments. In what other context is that behavior ever tolerated? Well, it's not tolerated in any other context because outside of the internet, all other contexts happen in a real-life arena. On the internet, you don't have to attach your name or your likeness or your voice to anything that you put out there. And so anybody can tweet from some burner Twitter account, and they can say all the things that they might think but would never say, because we all have that filter, right?
Correct.
We all have that filter, the things we think but would never say. I guarantee, regardless of how large your circle is, what your profession may be, what your family situation is like, you deal with this every day. You experience this every day. There is a filter between your brain and your mouth. And not all of what you think winds up coming out of your mouth. However, you do not have to operate with that filter when you are on the internet, interacting with others as some nameless, faceless commodity on social media.
I told this story the week you were gone, I believe, to the last time you took vacation, but I actually did see this play out in real life one time because I was calling a game. Again, I won't reference where it was, but I was calling a game, and there was a parent of one of the young ladies that was playing who was talking mess to another teenager on the other team. Like a set of parents, a mom and a dad, talking nonsense to kids. And I'm like, that is wildly unbecoming of an adult to be talking smack to teenagers.
Well, and that it takes a special kind of person. Because I will say, I said we all have that filter. We don't all have that filter. We don't all have that filter. 99% of us have that filter.
Well, we all have the filter. It just depends on how thick that filter is.
Yes, and there are certain folks that have a very, very, very thin filter. Cup of Dirt says, it's an opportunity to exercise our jester gooning.
I cannot believe this is about to become a thing on our text line.
No, it won't be. We're not going to make a practice of using the term jester gooning.
Gunny says, I don't know who this Sabrina Carpenter is, fellas. Is she like Bob the Builder?
Yeah, Gunny. Bob the Builder. Let me put it this way. You'd feel comfortable putting a 4-year-old kid in front of Bob the Builder. Probably not the case with Sabrina Carpenter. That is for more mature audiences only.
That is That's a good way of putting that.
Oh, I was a big Bob the Builder kid back in the day.
Hell
Circa
yeah.
2002, 2003.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That was the good stuff. That is the good stuff when you're 4. Some of that stuff never gets old. Bob the Builder, Blue's Clues.
Thomas the Train.
Yeah, that was my little brother's favorite show.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah.
See, me and my brother, we had all the Thomas the Train like figures and all that.
Thomas the Train and Veggie Tales.
Of course.
If you didn't grow up on Veggie Tales, come on now. If you didn't grow up on Veggie Tales, you need to make it a priority to ensure that your children grow up on Veggie Tales. Bob the Tomato, Larry the Cucumber, Qwerty, and the whole crew. 405-651-3439 is the First Liberty Bank text line. Hit us up. Got questions, got comments, got things you want to discuss as it pertains to OU football and recruiting. We'll tackle it all over the next 45 minutes as we wind down the week here on Locked In. This is The Ref, the home of Sooner fans.
Locked In is brought to you every day by Dorsey Jones GMC in El Reno. Dorsey Jones GMC is family-owned and operated with a knowledgeable, low-pressure sales staff here to help you through the buying process and half-price oil changes on Saturdays. Visit dorsey-jonesgmc.com for more information.
Good times are calling your name at the Showplace Theater with acts like Randy Rogers Band, April 17th. Aaron Lewis and the State Liners, April 24th. Don Felder, April 25th. And Earth, Wind, and Fire, May 9th. Riverwind is OKC's favorite casino experience.
The Gimme Zone is back. Join Golf Digest panelist Brian Vineyard and myself, Josh Elmer, every Saturday morning from 8 to 10 a.m. as we break down and dissect everything in the world of golf right here on the Ref and the KREF app. The Gimme Zone is brought to you by our friends at Van Hoos Fence, the premier fence company in Oklahoma. Hear from great guests and from the game's biggest stars as we spend every moving day with you. From February at Pebble Beach through the majors to the Tour Championship in September, the number one choice for golf coverage in the state of Oklahoma, it's right here on the Ref.
Insurance companies aren't in the business of saving you money, they're in the business of taking your money. Hi, this is Will Gosney with Yala Gosney Attorneys at Law. Have you ever had an insurance claim and thought, wow, I really am in good hands, or these folks truly are treating me like a neighbor? Well, that's where we can help. We'll deal with the stress, we'll get you back to your normal life. So save our number in your phone, and if you're ever hurt in a wreck, call or text us at 405-800-8080. It's 405-800-8080.
The deals are madness in March during the Honda Spring event, right here at Eskridge Honda. Pay just $249 per month on a new 2026 Honda HR-V LX two-wheel drive. Yes, that's $249 per month on a new HR-V. And for every vehicle purchase in March, we'll donate $100 to Toby Keith's OK Kids Corral. Great deals on Hondas for a great cause. Online at eskridgehonda.com.
Stock number 260485, 3-year, 10,000-mile lease, $49.99 down plus TT&L. See dealer for details.
At Lewis Jewelers, we've been designing and making engagement rings for nearly 40 years. My brother Glenn and I opened our first store when I was 19 and he was 21 years old. I suppose that means we've been doing something right to have lasted this long. Making jewelry was our passion then, and it still is today. We take great pride in the product that we make and offer to you, knowing that it will outlive us for many generations. Jewelry is our only business. You know us and you trust us. That trust is built upon the tens of thousands of satisfied customers that have come before you. I invite you to visit us at Lewis Jewelers. We would love the opportunity to make your engagement ring and become your jeweler. We're on I-35 and more for the ring that she will wear for a lifetime. Wouldn't you rather say it came from Lewis Jewelers?
Looking for friendly service and delicious chicken? Head to the 12th Avenue Chick-fil-A to dine in, pick up, or get delivered. We're ready to serve you. Try the new Jalapeno Ranch Club on a buttermilk ranch bun with pickled jalapenos, lettuce, tomato, pepper jack cheese, and candied bacon. Get it classic, grilled, or spicy. And don't miss the seasonal strawberry hibiscus drinks, lemonade, or iced tea. Call 405-310-3189 or order on the Chick-fil-A One app. 12th Avenue Chick-fil-A. Eat more chicken.
Illicit fentanyl is the deadliest drug threat that our nation has ever experienced. It has killed hundreds of thousands. Many of its victims didn't even know they were getting fentanyl. Such a tragedy. This is Robert De Niro. One of those tragic deaths was my beautiful grandson, Leo. He was just 19 years old. Fentanyl doesn't care, but you do. Join us in the fight against fentanyl. Find us online at ladrfoundation.org.
Oh, you know what I'm going to do tomorrow, Grayson?
What's that?
Well, a number of things. We have another media availability at Oklahoma's practice session tomorrow morning. So we'll get to see another hour or so of practice, hopefully. Brent Venables was in a great mood yesterday after his post-practice press conference. He said, y'all bring your cameras out Saturday. He was in peak form. He clearly feels good about his team. That's all that can mean. But there's that, and then I'm going to ship down to Dallas for the second week of OT7 competition, touch base with a few OU targets down there. And then this is what I originally referenced. This is what I'm probably most looking forward to tomorrow. I've been on a real kick lately. The kick in question is Chili's.
We're talking about the restaurant, right?
The restaurant.
Come on now.
I'm going to go get some dinner at Chili's. Because, my brother, in this economy, where else can you eat that well?
Talk to me.
For $14.
Talk to me.
Than at Chili's. 3 for me. It's $10.99 plus a tip. That's as good as it gets.
Get you a little appetizer.
Yeah.
An entree.
Get some chips and salsa. A little smash burger.
See, I always did the enchilada soup that they had there.
Enchilada soup?
Yeah, as my appetizer.
Instead of the chips and salsa?
Yeah, me and my buddies, we would go to Chili's all the time in college.
You guys were smart.
Yeah.
Of course, that was post-COVID, right?
That was just post-COVID, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Some of the pre-COVID haunts around campus at the University of Oklahoma are no longer with us, unfortunately. One such haunt is the pizza shop, which used to be right across the train tracks off of Classen. And it was prime. I mean, prime college student food. You could get a pizza for like $8.
Ooh.
And you could get cheese bread for another $3 or $4. And so we'd spend $12. And me and my 2 roommates, we would eat good for an evening with the pizza shop. It's no longer there, though. Yeah. I think there's a dispensary in its place now, because of course there is.
If my girlfriend didn't hate Chili's as passionately as she does.
Why does she hate Chili's?
There is an experience tied to it that I won't tell on the radio, but
fair enough.
She does hate Chili's, and we cannot eat there, and I wish we could because I love Chili's.
That is tragic, man.
It is, isn't it?
That is tragic. But, hey, it can be that way sometimes. You have one bad experience, it can be enough of a deterrent that you just never want to go back. I get that. I feel that. I'll probably never go back to P.F. Chang's. Because the last time I went to P.F. Chang's, I had horrible food poisoning.
Did you really?
Yes.
See, I love P.F. Chang's.
I loved P.F. Chang's, too, until that happened. And now at this point, I'm like, all right, I'm out.
I mean, that is kind of the reason I don't go to Subway anymore. I used to eat a lot of Subway.
Yeah, see, I'm just not with you on that one.
Really?
I think Subway's kind of nasty. But that's neither here nor there. 405-651-3439 is the First Liberty Bank text line. A listener here in the 405 says, when BV addresses the QB room, he always says something positive about Whit Neubauer. Is there any chance that he wins the starting job in 2027? This is interesting, Grayson, because I thought about making this a conversation at some point on these here airwaves. I figured it was probably a little bit too early to have this conversation, given that we still have to play the whole 2026 season. But I would be interested just to gauge feelings as to who the clubhouse leader is to be Oklahoma's starting quarterback in 2027. Would you go in favor of Whit Neubauer, who has starting experience, albeit at the FCS level, and played very well at Mercer in 2024?
Yeah.
But come 2027, will be 3 years removed, presumably, from his most recent start. Would it be Bo Bentley? who's going to be either a redshirt freshman or a sophomore. Yeah, either way, year 2 for Bo Bentley in 2027. Or, and this is a bit more broad, it's a bit more general, this is maybe a little bit of a safer bet, all things considered, is Oklahoma's starting quarterback in the year 2027 somebody that's not currently on the roster and is currently playing college football elsewhere?
Okay, so I think there's a lesser chance that the 2027 quarterback is not on the roster than it being Bo Bentley. So if I had to go on a hierarchy, I would say Bentley, quarterback elsewhere, Whit Neubauer. I think that's the way that's going to go, just because I think it's really hard to go from a starter and then sit 2 years in a row to all of a sudden being the best option 3 years after you made your last start. That generally doesn't happen. So I don't know if I could foresee that. Bentley, I think, is the clubhouse leader to be the starting quarterback in 2027. And then if Bentley isn't what they imagined he was going to be, and they realize that after this season, then they go to the portal, I think. I think they're going to go to the portal anyway, maybe, I think, to add another quarterback, but between now and the 2027 season. So if I had to rank it, I would go Bo, portal quarterback, Neubauer. That's the way I would look at it.
Yeah, I'll be completely transparent here. I'll be completely honest. Whit Neubauer, having watched him for a year plus now, I'm not saying he can't get there because guys get better. He doesn't look like an SEC starting quarterback to me. He looks like a fine SEC backup quarterback. Somebody who, if you needed him in a pinch, he could fill in and do an admirable job. I'm just saying, like, if you want to compete at the level that Oklahoma fans expect this program to compete at in 2027 and beyond, that's probably not your guy. That guy might be Bo Bentley. It's impossible to tell this early. And this was part of the lengthy conversation, the lengthy back and forth I had on Twitter.com with several folks in my replies over the last couple of days, Grayson. Everybody around here is a lot more skeptical and a lot more apprehensive when it comes to anointing young quarterbacks on the other side of the whole Jackson Arnold experience.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was this can't-miss prospect. I mean, it's really, really hard to fathom when you go back and you look at Jackson Arnold's resume at the high school level and his tape at the high school level, how he turned out to be so much of a non-factor at the quarterback position in college. Because he was lights out at Denton Guyer. National Gatorade Player of the Year in 2022.
No, people forget how cold he was.
He was ridiculous, man.
Uh-huh.
Ridiculous. Dominant every single Friday. For 2 years that he was the starter there at Guyer after Eli Stowers graduated. That's a fun bit of trivia. The guy that preceded him as starting quarterback at Guyer was Eli Stowers, future NFL tight end and potential first-round draft pick, Eli Stowers. But Jackson Arnold was the guy that seemingly had it made. I mean, he was going to be the next face of the program. He was going to be the guy that brought Oklahoma back to legit national title contention. And it all flamed out. And it flamed out fast. He was here 2 years. And that was that. And so in the aftermath, I think it's only somewhat natural that everyone around these parts is a little bit less eager to go all in when it comes to buying stock in young quarterbacks. Now, is that entirely fair to Bo Bentley? Maybe not, because Bo Bentley is not Jackson Arnold. They are not the same person. You would hope and you would expect that Bentley doesn't have the same challenges in the mental aspect of playing the quarterback position that plagued Arnold at both Oklahoma and Auburn. But it's definitely part of the reason why many are going to be hesitant to buy the hype until they see it.
No, yeah. And the other thing is when you use the word anointing, and I don't know if there were tells that a guy like Michael Hawkins could have been better than Jackson Arnold, but it was very apparent from the beginning that regardless of how good Michael Hawkins is going to be, this is Jackson's team. So I think that's where we don't need to have this happen again. If we want to make plans and say, all right, we're looking to the future, and Bo's going to be our quarterback for 2 years, and then we're going to turn things over to presumably right now Jamison Roberts. Like, that's okay. But we need to make sure that it is well known that even though there was going to be a passing of the torch, this is still the best option. Because what drove fans crazy during the Jackson Arnold saga is that we didn't really know if Jackson really was the best option or if he was just the former Gatorade Player of the Year that we just handed the reins to regardless of anything else happening. So as long as you can get it across that, yes, Bo Bentley's going to be our starter, and when he becomes the starter, it's because he's our best option on our football team, then I think that quells a lot of that.
Hawaiian Sooner says, I'm going with the throwing Samoan, Jet New. Angry Ronnie added, where'd the kid from Utah go? And that is in reference to Jet New. Yeah, look, I really like Jet. He's all in for Oklahoma, man. Hard worker, great locker room influence. Many in and around the program will tell you that when it comes to just the leadership aspect of playing the quarterback position, he's got equal or better traits to anybody in that group. But all of that said, I think he is a pretty clear QB4 right now in the room. Bentley's ahead of him. Whit Neubauer's ahead of him. Brent Venables got asked about his backup quarterback situation last night in his press conference, and there was no mention of Jet New from the head ball coach. He talked about Whit. He talked about Bo Bentley. That was it. So, based on reps, based on just the eye test, being out there for Wednesday's practice for an hour, seeing a lot of throws that those quarterbacks made, and also just gauging Brent Venables' feelings on the matter based on the comments that he made in front of the media last night, it would stand to reason that Jet New is QB4 at Oklahoma right now.
Yeah, I would say so.
I mean, somebody's got to be QB4, right?
Exactly. What did you think about what Brent Venables said about Bishop Thomas?
Oh, he looks like somebody's crazy uncle?
Uh-huh.
That is I liked hearing that. I don't know if Bishop likes hearing that characterization.
I don't know if that's a compliment.
I tell you, man, if there's something you want to be hearing about a transfer defensive tackle from Georgia State, because so many fans are going to be like, oh, he's from Georgia State, he can't be that good. You probably want to hear, yeah, he looks like somebody's crazy uncle. That at the very least gets you intrigued about Bishop Thomas.
It also depends on what your personification of a crazy uncle is, though.
Mm-hmm.
Like your uncles might be one thing. My uncles might be a complete other thing. Neither of them are probably football players.
There are different flavors of crazy.
Exactly. Like my great uncles that I'm used to. I don't know if you want to be compared to them because they were the ones at the family reunion frying the catfish. So I don't know if that translates to football when I hear crazy uncle. But he does have that low. He has that low cut that's one length. Kind of has an old school type of look. It'll be interesting to see what kind of football player he is.
Tattoo Baker says, Parker, seeing these guys up close, is Bo Bentley over 6 feet? Yes, he is. Bo Bentley, and this is the general measuring stick that I use to gauge guys' height. Bo Bentley is exactly my height. Like, we stand exactly eye to eye. And I am a little bit closer to 6'1" than I am to 6 feet. I'm not quite 6'1", but I am over 6 feet, and Bo Bentley is my exact height. And so he is listed at 6'1" on OU's roster. That's pretty accurate, I would say. Listed at 6'1", 210 on Oklahoma's inaugural spring roster. By the way, you want to talk about a big old boy? Looping back around to Whit Neubauer. 6'6", 240.
Did we need to get all those tight ends in the transfer portal?
Future tight end Whit Neubauer?
I was about to say that might be a path to playing time elsewhere.
I don't know, man. He'll have 2 years of eligibility remaining after this season. Spent a year at Mercer in 24, took a red shirt last year at Oklahoma in 25, although he did see action in a couple games. So he'll use another year at Oklahoma here in 26, and then with the 2 years he has remaining, it will be interesting to see whether a guy like that wants to stick around and try and compete for the job at Oklahoma and ascend to that level, rise to that standard, or whether he wants to maybe make a position change, which he could do. I mean, it worked for Bauer Sharp, right? It kind of worked for Bauer Sharp. Or whether he just wants to go start somewhere that's a little bit closer to the level he played at in 2024 while at Mercer.
According to the text line, and I can confirm this, looks like Tiger Woods was in a bad accident again.
Again, man? What?
According to ESPN, Tiger Woods was involved in a rollover crash in Jupiter Island, Florida on Friday. No details about the cause of the crash or Woods' conditions were immediately released by the sheriff's office. And if we remember, he suffered those significant leg injuries 5 years ago.
Man, it's just one thing after another with Tiger.
He cannot catch a break because he also popped an Achilles a year ago, if you remember that.
I know. And say what you will about Tiger Woods' womanizing and all of that, but you don't wish this type of thing upon anybody. Time and time again,
It's kind of wild.
Yeah. They're succumbing to bad luck of one kind or another that has a physical effect on the body. And he was going to play the Masters in a couple of weeks, right? I guess he still we don't know for a fact that he won't, but
I don't know. According to President Trump, he's not. Now, I don't know what kind of authority he has on the matter, but
he's not playing the Masters?
I mean, that's what Trump said.
What? Hang on. What did Trump say? Did Trump, break the news?
Trump claims Tiger Woods won't play in 2026 Masters.
Okay.
I have no idea if that is good reporting on the part of him. I don't know. That's just that's the first thing that comes up when I'm looking at this.
47. Bringing the golf scoops via Twitter.com. We'll have to corroborate that in the break here. 405-651-3439. We won't corroborate it. We'll try to find actual golf reporters who can. If Donald J. Trump is the reporter that broke the news that Tiger Woods isn't going to be playing competitive golf in 2026, that's something else. He may still have some years left in him career-wise after he gets out of office if he wants to cultivate a reputation as a scoop man in the golf community. I got to think, living in Florida, he knows a lot of those guys.
I would say so.
405-651-3439. On the other side, more OU football and Cruton talk, and we will try to get an update on the condition of Tiger Woods. Steely, if you're listening, we are on the case. Rest assured, we will pass along whatever updates we can come up with. Keep it here on The Ref, the home of Sooner fans. We'll be back on Locked In.
The word is spreading, and the Ref Army is growing. Keep telling your friends and family that there's only one station for true Sooner fans, and that's the Ref Radio Sports Network, and worldwide on the KREF app.
Entrepreneurs in Moore, Norman, and South Oklahoma City have an experienced business partner in their neighborhood. Moore Norman Technology Center's Workforce and Economic Development Team understands the challenges entrepreneurs and small businesses face every day. From building an effective business model to hiring the right employees and managing cash flow, Moore Norman's business development experts can help you move forward confidently and thrive, knowing that you have a skilled partner at your side. Learn more about Moore Norman's Technology Center by calling 405-801-5000 or visit us online at mntc.edu.
Hi, everybody. Toby Rowland here for one of my favorite places to golf, the Trails Golf Club in Norman. The Trails offers great golf activities for the entire family. Men's and Ladies Golf Association events, summer junior golf for the kids, plus club fittings throughout the year. The Trails also has great family social events, monthly special dinners, plus holiday brunches and catering. When you're looking for the perfect place to golf, check out the Trails Golf Club in Norman. Contact Zane Alexander today at 405-364-3790 or visit trailsgolf.com.
When you quit tobacco, your body starts healing almost immediately. Your heart is healthier, breathing is easier, and you'll have more energy. You also lower your risk of type 2 diabetes. The Oklahoma Tobacco Helpline has free resources, from coach support to patches, gum, and lozenges, so you can start feeling better. Visit okhelpline.com to get started. A program of the Tobacco Settlement Endowment Trust.
Are you ready for spring sports season? Gear up like a champion with Balfour & Norman's exclusive apparel for OU softball, baseball, and gymnastics. From the diamond to the gym, we've got the latest shirts, hats, and fan gear that show your Sooner pride in style. Whether you're cheering in the stands or repping your team around town, Balfour of Norman has you covered. Visit us today on Campus Corner or online at crimsonproud.com. Balfour of Norman, where you'll find everything Sooner.
Did you know Meals on Wheels of Norman can serve more seniors in our community? If you're 62 or older and live in Norman, we offer weekday noontime meal delivery, including specialized diets. We accept private pay and serve seniors at all income levels. It's more than a meal, it's a friendly check-in. To sign up, visit mealsonwheelsnorman.com or call 405-321-7272. This ad is sponsored by Bear Property Management. Call 366-RENT for all of your management and leasing needs.
This is Mark Van Hoos, owner of Van Hoos Fence. Van Hoos Fence has years of experience and proven superior performance, kind of like a certain head ball coach.
We know Van Hoos Fence offers the best value and service for your residential, commercial, or sports fencing needs. Whether it's a new install or repair work, let Mark and his team at Van Hoos Fence be your trusted resource.
Call us today at 405-735-1167.
Save yourself from Googling it up. Go to vhfence.com. They will work with you in a great way.
It's football time in Oklahoma when the OU spring game returns to Gaylord Family Oklahoma Memorial Stadium on Saturday, April 18th at noon. Join us to preview the 2026 squad as the Sooners look to build upon last year's college football playoff appearance. Then stick around after the game as OU baseball hosts Missouri at 4 o'clock before OU softball takes on Arkansas at 7. Pack the Palace and make your Oklahoma football spring game plans today. Secure your seats and view the complete weekend schedule at Soonersports.com.
Are you, your family, or company looking for a locally owned and trusted management group? Carlsbad Management Group is an owner, developer, and manager of high-quality apartment communities in Oklahoma. They are a locally owned and operated management company for apartments and self-storage units. They are committed to providing exceptional apartment homes, customer service, and increasing the value of multi-family communities under our management. If you would like a free management quote today, call Carlsbad Management at 405-701-1411 and be part of the Carlsbad family.
I totally forgot about this, but it suddenly makes a ton of sense why Trump had the Tiger Woods scoop, because I forgot that Tiger Woods is dating his daughter. That completely flew over my head.
He is?
Yes.
You know what? I lost track a long time ago of who Tiger Woods is dating.
It's quite the carousel. And as of late, it is one of Trump's daughters. I know that much. I don't keep up on celebrity relationships, so I don't know anything more than that. But yeah, it all makes sense now as to why Trump do that. Apparently, before
probably makes him a more reliable source, which might be the last time I ever say that.
Oh, gosh. I thought it was a great tweet last night that I came across, and I can't remember who sent out the initial. I saw several that expressed the same sentiment, but March Madness, when this time of year rolls around, sometimes Cinderella isn't always a mid-major. Sometimes it's just 9-seed Iowa in the Elite Eight. And you know what? It's still fun. Still fun to watch Ben McCollum and the Iowa Hawkeyes making a run to the Elite Eight. They won the battle. The battle, what do they call the Nebraska-Iowa battle? They need to come up with a catchy name for it. You have corn right there that both of those states effectively go to war over. You need to have something corn-related, that some moniker that you can slap on the Nebraska-Iowa rivalry. But regardless, Iowa got the win over Nebraska last night. Ben McCollum has the Hawkeyes going to the Elite Eight for the first time since 1987. And it is kind of fun to watch that team play, man. They just got a bunch of cold white boys, including Oklahoma's own Tate Sage out of Weatherford.
Yeah, Josh and I talked about that earlier today. By the way, I think it's Trump's former daughter-in-law who Tiger Woods is dating.
Okay, I'm too lost at this point.
Somebody tangentially related to the president.
Yeah, okay.
Anyway.
He's in the Trump circle somehow.
Yes. Anyway, yes. It is an interesting Cinderella story. And no, it doesn't have to be a mid-major. It can be a high major team that just gets hot at the right time. Like, we celebrate teams that get hot at the right time. Oklahoma has done this in 2 sports in this academic year, with football and men's basketball as well, where they get hot at the right time. And we always celebrate that. But just because it's not a St. Louis or a Dayton or an Illinois or an Indiana State or something like that doesn't mean that Iowa can't be a Cinderella. Doesn't mean that if they won last night, Texas could not have been a Cinderella.
That would have really sucked if Texas was the Cinderella. I'm glad that didn't happen.
I mean, true, we all are. But, I mean, you're coming from the first four all the way to the Elite Eight. I don't care if you have one of the largest athletic budgets in the country. That's a Cinderella.
Recruit of the day. Let's get around to that, and let's give a quick thank you to our friends at Keystone Property Management, Grayson.
Yes, Keystone Property Management. Make sure you hit up our friend Drew England over there at Keystone Property Management. 3-bed, 2.5-bath townhomes that fit your need and your budget as well. So KeystonePMOK.com is where you can find our friends at Keystone Property Management.
The guy I want to highlight today, and I can't recall how extensively we talked about him earlier this week, but I saw him over the weekend at OT7 down in Dallas, and so felt the need to underscore Oklahoma's presence in his recruitment today, and that would be Trey Britton, the talented wide receiver out of the state of Michigan. Belleville, Michigan, hometown of Deion Burks, alma mater of Deion Burks. So there's a connection there between Oklahoma and Britton through Burks, because he and Burks, as I understand, are good friends. Oklahoma offered him at camp last June. Still in the mix for his commitment. They're going to host him for an unofficial visit on the other side of the weekend. I think it's next week he's due in town. It's in early April, regardless, that he's going to take an unofficial visit to Oklahoma. Told me last week that he intends to schedule an OV, and it looks like Oklahoma's primarily going to be doing battle with Missouri and Michigan here. But as we transition to our Friday film room, when you take a look at the film on Trey Britton, where do you think he fits in this Oklahoma class?
In this Oklahoma class, number one, I see Juice as a returner. So it's a popular sentiment on this text line to talk about that, they haven't had a lot in the return game. So I think there's one. So I think that's one. The other thing I see is a guy that can provide versatility. And obviously you've got Trayvon Hall and Damari DeJean right now. But you look at in the 2026 class where Oklahoma loaded up on big receivers. Daniel Odom, 6 feet plus. Jaden Petit, we know what that dude is.
Yeah.
And then you kind of threw us for a loop with bringing in Jasir Rogers, who doesn't fit that. But with a guy like Trey Britton, I think it brings you some versatility in terms of a deep threat, in terms of a guy who can be quick, make quick moves over the middle of the field, stay open in zone defense. So I see that you have one archetype that you like, but then also provide that versatility and diversity with the way you can attack. So he would be a good fit in the class.
I really like Trey Britton when I saw him last weekend at OT7, because to me, he's not Deion Burks, but he's Deion Burks adjacent in the sense that I think he could really thrive as a short, intermediate type of volume receiver who you have to account for on every snap, because the second you take for granted that he's working over the middle of the field, or he's working on the offense's side of the chains, I should say, is the second that he hits you deep and takes off. We never really did get to see that from Deion Burks at Oklahoma, which is a tragedy. He did it a couple of times in the spring game in 2024. I know anybody who was there for the last spring game that Oklahoma had remembers that. Deion Burks hit over the top twice. And I think it was Jackson Arnold that threw him both touchdown passes. But he shook loose downfield twice. Been on campus for 3 months after transferring from Purdue. And so expectations immediately went through the roof for Deion Burks once people saw him go for, I think, 160-plus in the spring game and a couple of long touchdowns. Trey Britton is that type of guy. He's a long strider for being a shorter wide receiver. He's only about 5'10". He's a long strider. I'll be honest, I don't think this is a top-tier need for Oklahoma if the wide receiver class holds as is between Damari DeJean and Graydon Howell and Trayvon Hall, but I also don't really have the expectation that wide receiver class is going to hold. I think Oklahoma probably loses DeMarie DeJourna and or Trayvon Hall at one point. I think if you can go 1 for 2 retention-wise with those guys, that's great. But particularly Hall, whom we've talked about time and again, it's hard to convince yourself that Oklahoma's going to be able to hold on there with the knowledge that he's taking a full slate of official visits to a bunch of the SEC powerhouse program. Maybe I shouldn't call them powerhouses, but the upper echelon programs in the SEC, many of whom are a lot closer to home for Hall. And so if there does come a time where it becomes apparent that Hall and Oklahoma are kind of going their separate ways, I think it makes sense to really turn up the heat on Trey Britton. In the meantime, I think it makes sense to get him on the OV slate for the summer just in case. You don't know, obviously, how things are going to progress over the next few months. And so you'd like to have that option available to you to be able to get Britton to campus in June. And if you need to get a deal done, you can get a deal done with the kid to get him to Oklahoma. Really like what he would bring to the class, though. It's not the type of skill set right now that I feel adds a ton of value, though, with the 3 existing wide receivers that Oklahoma has in the class. So to me, this kind of sets up nicely as a guy that, yeah, you recruit him, you maintain that relationship, stay on the same page with him, but don't really turn up the heat to another level until or unless you start to see some movement in that wide receiver class.
Question on the YouTube chat from Jeremy. Who could be our next verbal for 2027 or 28?
Next verbal? That's a good question. Honestly, man, if I had to pick one guy, it's probably Sione Falila. And I know, as we talked about earlier in the week, Rivals national recruiting analyst Greg Biggins, who does a great job covering the West Coast, tossed in a prediction for Falila out of the state of California to commit to Oklahoma. I will say I don't think that one lasts until OV season. I don't know if it's like tomorrow or next week, but I don't think that one gets around to OVs. I know from the OU side they feel very, very strongly about where they stand with Falila and feel as though they will be able to close that deal in the coming weeks. So if I had to pick one guy, that's probably who I would say. Do you have a different answer than that, Grayson, or are we in agreement there?
Yeah, we're in agreement there. I was trying to think of who we've talked about in terms of who could be imminent, and Sione Falila, I think, is the only one that would fit that category. So, yes, I am in agreement with you there. There was another question somewhere on YouTube. Do we take Ben Kolar if he verbals?
Yes.
100%.
No question. No question. There's absolutely no question whatsoever that is a 100% yes on the Oklahoma side. If Ben Kolar calls at any point and says, I want to be a Sooner. Now, whether or not that happens, we shall see. Because
wait, hold on now. What's going on here?
Well, I still think they lead, let's be clear.
Okay.
But he's going to take other visits. Other schools are going to have the opportunity to make up ground on Oklahoma. But here's the big thing for me, Grayson. We talked about this a little bit last week. When you get a guy like Seneca Driver committed, it's a harder sell to other tight ends. And it's only going to be made harder because now all the other schools that are recruiting Ben Kolar are going to point to Seneca Driver and say, do you really want to go to Oklahoma?
And go be number 2 behind somebody?
Yeah, and share the field with that guy. Or you can come here and be our dude at the position. So I don't know how successful of a run a school like Oklahoma State or Baylor or Stanford or whoever could make at Ben Kolar. But you got to know these conversations are going to happen. And Kolar also doesn't seem to be the type of guy that's in a rush right now. He's going to take his time with the process. There was a time I kind of figured, okay, maybe he's an early commit type of guy. I don't get that sense from Kolar at this point in the process. I think he probably lets it play out, takes a full slate of OVs. If it's OU at that point, then great. If not, man, then you'll probably see Oklahoma make a few late offers. And I say late, it's probably not going to be late, but you get the picture. July, August, you could see Oklahoma start hunting again for some additional tight end talent because they want to take 2, and right now the guy that they have exclusively in the crosshairs is Ben Kolar. In their minds, the class is Seneca Driver, and it's going to be Ben Kolar. If it isn't Ben Kolar, he wants to go somewhere else, then they'll evaluate other options at that point in time. All right, folks. We're done for the day. We're done for the week here on Locked In. Been a lot of fun hanging with y'all. It always is. I hope this was at least a B- show.
I think it was a B+ show.
I'll take it.
At a minimum.
B+, I will take that all day long. Hey, we will see you again on Monday. Until then, stick around. The Rush with Tyler and Ted is next on The Ref, the Home of Sooner Fans.